Story number 1.
It was Carlos and Mateo's 5th day on the dairy farm in Victoria. Carlos, 25, from Peru, and Mateo, 24, from Ecuador, were both on working holiday visas and eager to learn. They had already gotten used to milking cows, cleaning yards, and moving herds, but they had never seen a bull on the farm.
"This farm only has cows, mate."
Said Logan, an Aussie worker with more experience.
"No bulls here, safer that way."
That morning, the two were moving the cows into the main yard when Carlos noticed something unusual.
"Mateo, are those bulls?"
He asked, pointing toward 3 huge animals walking through a side gate into the main yard. Logan appeared, squinting toward the yard.
"What the hell? Those aren't ours."
He grabbed his radio and spoke with the manager.
"Neighbor's bulls got in. Probably busted the fence again."
He turned to the boys.
"All right, change of plans. We're sending them back to the neighbor's paddock. We'll guide them through this yard and out the back gate."
Carlos and Mateo stared at the bulls with growing unease.
"They're already here, so we just push them nice and easy through the yard."
Logan explained.
"But listen carefully. If they stop and refuse to move, don't force them. Just run. Got it?"
The boys nodded nervously. The bulls were now sniffing around the yard, relaxed but intimidating with their heavy, muscular bodies and deep breaths. They opened the gate to let them pass through. Logan started up his quad bike, while Carlos and Mateo mounted theirs, flanking the bulls cautiously on either side. Step by step, they guided the animals with the quad bikes, moving slowly through the yard. The bulls walked ahead, calm but alert, with the soft rumble of the engines and the crunch of tires on dirt following behind them. Mateo whispered.
"This isn't so bad." "Yeah,"
Carlos said.
"they're like big cows."
Logan chuckled over the engine's hum.
"Wait till they change their mind."
As they approached the back gate that led to the neighbor's property, the bulls were still moving steadily. The team stayed close, but respectful. Just a few more steps, and they'd be done. Then, the biggest bull suddenly froze, right at the gate. He turned his massive head and stared straight at them, one eye locked on Logan. The other bulls also froze. The air went still. The big one pawed at the dirt, snorted loudly, and widened his stance like a wrestler entering the ring.
"Don't move,"
Logan whispered, to warn them without startling the animals. Carlos's chest tightened. The bull took a single step back, puffed his chest, and snorted again, louder this time, clearly challenging them. Carlos began to retreat slowly, his eyes never leaving the bull, heart pounding. Then Logan didn't wait. He turned and sped off on his quad, yelling,
"Run!"
Carlos and Mateo hesitated, frozen for a split second, then slammed the throttle and followed at full speed. They jumped over a small fence, rushed through 2 paddocks, and tore across a wide field. After 5 kilometers, they finally stopped near a shed, gasping for air and laughing nervously. Carlos collapsed onto the grass.
"What just happened?"
Mateo looked back and realized they had left the bulls far behind. Logan, laughing breathlessly, said,
"I told you, if they stop and stare, don't test your luck. That one was ready to charge."
Mateo shook his head.
"I thought we were done for."
An hour later, the neighbor arrived on his quad bike.
"Heard my bulls visited you."
He said, grinning. Logan replied.
"One of them nearly challenged me to a fistfight."
The neighbor laughed.
"That's Bruno, drama queen."
Logan pointed at the map.
"They must have come from the far edge of your paddock."
The neighbor nodded.
"Yeah, broken fence down there. I'll fix it."
Later that evening, Carlos and Mateo were nicknamed the Bull Boys by the rest of the crew. Mateo raised a toast at dinner.
"To Bruno, the bull who nearly made us quit farming."
Everyone laughed. Carlos smiled.
"Next time I'll take cows any day, and if a bull comes again, I'll retreat faster than you can say moo."
Story number 2.
Sophie had never imagined herself working as a housekeeper in Australia. Back in Argentina, she had studied design and was more used to sketching on her tablet than scrubbing bathroom tiles. But when she extended her working holiday visa in Cairns, the only job she found was in housekeeping at a busy tropical resort. At first, she felt completely lost. The bedsheets never looked right, her timing was terrible, and she once spent 10 minutes trying to figure out how to fold a fitted sheet without it turning into a ball. Her supervisor, a cheerful Aussie named Claire, noticed her frustration. "Don't worry, mate," she said with a grin. "Everyone's terrible at first. You'll get the hang of it." And she was right. Day by day, Sophie learned the rhythm of the job, the quick dance between beds, the perfect fold of the corners, the art of tucking the blanket so tight that guests could bounce a coin on it. Her unwavering effort to improve surprised even herself. The sound of waves outside became her background music, and soon the work started to feel strangely peaceful. One Friday, the resort organised a friendly housekeeping challenge. Who could make the perfect bed the fastest? Sophie joined just for fun, convinced she'd lose. But when the timer stopped, her bed stood crisp, smooth and flawless. The judges whispered, then clapped. She had won. The other housekeepers cheered, and Claire handed her a small box of chocolates as a prize. That evening, sitting outside her shared accommodation, Sophie laughed softly. "From design to making beds," she said. "Que loco todo esto." But deep down, she felt proud. She had proved that no matter how different the task, hard work and a good attitude could turn even the simplest job into something worth celebrating.
Story number 3.
Luke, a young Frenchman, landed in Sydney ready for adventure, and a little white lie. On his CV, he claimed he had experience as a barista. The truth? He didn't even know how to froth milk. On his first day at the cozy downtown cafe, he stared at the espresso machine like it was alien technology. The other baristas moved fast, grinding beans, steaming milk, and handling orders with ease. Luke's supervisor gave him a cheerful smile and said, "Good luck, rookie." Luke panicked. He spilled coffee, misread orders, and almost served a cappuccino without milk. Feeling overwhelmed, he whispered to himself, "I'm doomed." But then he noticed a pattern. Most customers were regulars, and they ordered the same drinks every day. Luke decided to embrace the challenge. He started memorizing faces and favorite drinks, repeating orders silently like a secret code. Slowly, he mastered the tricky espresso shots and latte art, even though he still didn't drink coffee himself. A week later, he was joking with the regulars, remembering who liked extra foam, who wanted soy milk, and who always asked for a double shot. His confidence grew, and so did his resourcefulness, improvising when the machine broke or when a customer changed their order last minute. One morning, the cafe was packed. Luke managed the rush without spilling a drop. He even helped train a new barista, laughing as he explained all the tricks he had learned the hard way. That night, sitting by Sydney Harbour with his flat white in hand, for research purposes, Luke smiled. From lying on his CV to persevering through chaos, he had turned mistakes into mastery, and the cafe had become his second home.
Story number 4.
Diego, a Peruvian guy on a working holiday in Sydney, worked for a warehouse agency that sent him to different places every week: factories, storage units, and ports. Every day was a surprise, sometimes fun, sometimes exhausting. One Monday at 6 a.m, his phone buzzed. New shift, frozen warehouse. He sighed, half asleep, and rode his bike through the misty streets of Sydney's industrial area. When he arrived, the air inside hit him like a wall, icy, sharp, and relentless. It was like stepping into a giant freezer. Just for today, he told himself, rubbing his hands. The supervisor handed him thick gloves and said cheerfully, "You'll get used to it, mate." Diego smiled nervously, bracing for the challenge. He started unloading frozen boxes from a container, his breath turning into small clouds. At first, he tried to stay positive, humming songs from home, thinking about his goals. But after an hour, his fingers burned from the cold and his back ached from the heavy boxes. By 9 a.m, he could barely feel his toes. A coworker shouted, "You okay, bro?" Diego forced a grin. Inside, he thought, this money isn't worth freezing for. When the shift ended, he stepped into the sunlight, feeling warmth revive every part of his body. That moment felt like heaven. He realized something profound. No paycheck should cost his well-being. The next day, he told the agency he wouldn't go back to the freezer job. The boss frowned, but Diego stayed resolute. there were plenty of other warehouses and only one body to protect. That night, as he drank hot chocolate in his small Sydney room, he smiled. The cold morning had taught him something transformative. Sometimes walking away isn't quitting, it's preserving your dignity.
Story number 5.
When Anthony arrived in Melbourne from Ecuador, his English was decent but far from fluent. He had worked in construction before, but now, standing in a noisy restaurant kitchen, holding a pile of plates, everything felt new. The chef shouted orders, the pans hissed, and Anthony realised he had entered a completely different world. His job as a kitchen hand was simple at first. Wash dishes, clean counters, carry boxes of vegetables. But it quickly became more than that. Each day, he listened carefully to the cooks, repeating their words in his head. Pass the tongs, wipe the bench, order up. Little by little, those phrases turned into confidence. Anthony discovered something unexpected. He could save a lot of money by eating the leftover meals that the staff didn't finish. It wasn't glamorous, but it meant free pasta, chicken, even the occasional steak. "Bro, you'll never go hungry working here," said Jake, a cheerful Australian line cook who became Anthony's first real friend. Over time, Anthony started to understand the humour, the banter, the subtle jokes that flew across the kitchen. When the chef teased him about his accent, Anthony laughed back, proud that he could finally catch the punchline. The kitchen was chaotic, but it was also full of warmth, a place where effort mattered more than perfection. One quiet night after closing, Anthony and Jake sat outside, drinking cheap coffee. "You know," Jake said, "your English is getting better every week." Anthony smiled, realising that what had begun as just a job had become a kind of classroom, one filled with noise, laughter, and real human connection. He looked at the stars over the city and thought, maybe this was how you really learned a language, not from books, but from people who didn't care where you came from, as long as you worked hard and stayed kind.